Yo, you're currently sitting on a bag of a cinnamon bun. I had nowhere else to prop my phone up, but I'm currently out. Such a nice view. I haven't uploaded a video for almost a month. Part of the reason I'm gonna take one off just because I hate when you have headphones on and you can't hear your voice. Part of the reason is like I cut my hair, so sure I do not like it, and I hate seeing it on camera. It looks awful. So I've trying to grow it out. You know, it's such a little minor inconvenience, but it puts me off like making a video if I'm not feeling myself. Like I don't want to make a video and I'm like looking at the camera and feeling insecure. Anyway, besides that is in contrast to a video anyway I made about confidence coming from looks. But I guess to add on to that is that I think it's so normal to feel insecure quite a lot, and it's very common. Even I think that's a better way of saying it. It's very common to feel insecure of yourself, especially when you're doing things and you're engaging in things that you want to do. I think that can bring out the most insecurity. And I wanted to make a video because I think that sometimes when you are in the midst of beginning a new chapter or doing something which you've always wanted to do, you have that excitement, but you also have that dreading that just creeps in about if you deserve to have it. It's so debilitating. I really hate that word because I always say it and I never know how it's actually pronounced. It's so annoying that you want to do stuff, you feel like you have a desire for something and it ends up almost feeling too scary. And I think that's just because your old frequency or your old persona is trying to bring you back down to earth, because you've done that, you've been that person, you've done those actions and you've taken those choices for so long that when you're doing it and you're trying to stop doing it, it's like, no, come back. You can't get out. You can't get away for free, mate. You end up in this like tug of war and it's like, which way do I go? My God, it's so much easier to just be who I've always been. But then you're like, oh, what's the point? What's the point in living if you're not even doing what you want to do or making your own choices? So when things like that come up, I just think it's so important to understand why they're there and not push them away and not try and ignore it. I think it's important and it's a lesson to be like, change is okay and is always a good thing. I don't really think there can be change that is a bad thing or takes you in a bad direction. It's just contrast, and contrast is there to simply uplift you. I always think when you get contrast or you get something that happens in your life, it genuinely will always make it better. There's never been a time where I've had like a period of time where I've been happy and then something stumbles in the way and it's ruined my life. It's always made me uncomfortable for a couple of months or however long, and then it's put me into a much better place to be happier or to be stronger or to have more courage. Like things will always work out like that. And also I don't think you can't expect things as well. Like expecting is just understanding the law of nature that you will always get what you think is going to happen. And you know, it may not always plan out exactly, but I just think if you have an innate desire there that you've always had, and you know you want to do it, and you're working on it, and you're actively incorporating the beliefs that you can do it, and you're putting a lot of time into it and a lot of good effort and knowledge and just acceptance and opening to receiving it, then just keep going with it. You don't feel like you have to resort to being who you used to be. Especially, it's hard when you have to realize that a lot of the time, the hardest thing isn't necessarily you having to change or you having to start new things. It's that the people around you will be affected in such a way that you feel compelled to go back and join them, because you're controlled more by love than you are by fear, because fear usually pushes you away and it pushes you out of things that you shouldn't be in, and it's a really good mechanism. It's a really good response that we have to move on and to get away from things that are not serving you. But with love, you just don't want to upset or remove people from your life that have always been there, and you want to have people in your life, but it's so hard to have people who don't want to understand you, and then also you knowing that what you want to do is your birthright. I've recently started using Audible because I love reading so much, but Audible is so good because you can just walk, you can listen to it, you can you can just do anything and have a book. Sometimes music's like not always the option, I think, but yeah, it's sometimes nice to have something to listen to and have some like advice. But I've recently started listening to the book The Courage to Be Disliked. I'm not really sure or certain of the author, so I'm not gonna try and say who it's by, but I'm like almost halfway through it, and it's so important, I think, to understand some of the topics that are mentioned in it. And the biggest thing for me is that understanding that you can't interfere with things, and that goes for your goals, that goes for what you want to do, that also goes for you can't disturb things with other people and what they want to do. You know, nothing is innately and inherently personal, and that book is so valid. It's such a valid piece of writing to have that, for people to understand that nothing is personal. Everything is just the projection of a reaction from others onto you, and same with you and other people. And it's important to realize and understand your own patterns and understand where you get some of your beliefs from and why you still have them. And you just can't disturb things that are meant for you. You can't live a life with these things that you know are for you and things that bring you. I don't like ever using the word happiness. I think it's such a vague term for when you want to talk about desires. I think happiness is such a vague word that I want to say instead, there are things that you know are meant to bring you peace. You can't get in the way of them. You can't just ignore that you've got a desire for something and hope it catches up to you. No, you gotta let it in and accept it and want it to be there and not be scared of it. There's so much fear now with having a desire or having something that you enjoy and feeling pressure with it. And desire and pressure do not go hand in hand. So when you have both, you cannot have the goal. As soon as you have fear enter something that you want, it's gone. It gets repelled from you, because that desire knows that it is for you. You're the one that thinks that it isn't. So when you're doing that, it's like, well, this isn't hypothetically, it's going, this isn't like gonna work. I need this person to accept that we're good, like this is us, this is for us, we're gonna like work as a team with this, as a relationship. Like, you and your desire have a relationship. You shouldn't look at it like it's just this mundane fact that it's just something that you want. You should just work with it and understand that there's a partnership with it. And it's important to know that, because, you know, it's not higher than you, or it shouldn't be below you. It should be yours. Like, it's never not been yours. Everything you want is yours. But just to finish off this video, really, because I don't make very many, but I do enjoy making videos from time to time where I feel like I have got something to say, that which will give advice. And don't ever just like come in on and just rambling and just chatting shit to get some views. I genuinely think there's a lot of that, and it is so dull. Like, I think you watch those videos and you're like, yeah, I get the sentiment, but you never change. And it's like, nothing ever works for you. And people be on here giving this advice, like, you need to stop doing this, or you need to incorporate that. And it's like the end of the video, and it's just more knowledge. You don't want more knowledge. You want to just have, you just want one fact, and that is that there is nothing to add on to you. There is nothing there's no piece of advice, there's no goal, there's no exterior motive, there's no person, there's no ideology that will necessarily be given to you and it suddenly makes you worthy. Everything that has made you worthy is just the fact that you were born. And that sounds very cliche, and I don't mean it at all in the cliche sense. I mean it in the actual sense that we aren't really here to do anything except explore ourselves and the extensions that we have, which are our desires and our add-ons, and we're just the universe experiencing itself and experiencing itself physically. So that's important, I think. And you can't have pressure on anything, especially you can't have pressure with trying to challenge what other people want and trying to push and shove other people to want you. I think that's a massive block nowadays, where people feel like they must push people and shape them into what they want, when really, you know, you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want that. And nothing, like I said, nothing is personal. Everything is just as it is, and the world doesn't revolve around you.
Hi.
Hi, you alright?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah. That's it, really. There's nothing else to it. I've really like understood the fact of just accepting that there is nothing really morally wrong or good in the world. You just look into it, and we see it so narrowly, and we see it so one perspectively, that there's so much more. There's so much more to everything, and there is nothing to gain as well. There's nothing necessarily to gain to be acceptable. Like, everything that you want has always been there for you. You know, it takes like, what, 16 seconds, 17 seconds to get on the path of your desires. And once you're on that, there isn't necessarily an idea of time. It's just the physical idea, the physical realm or whatever, just lagging, I guess. But if you can try and know that you just got to do what you got to do, and usually the first step into knowing what is meant for you is to look at everything that you put off, or everything that scares you, and challenge it, and just let it in, and kind of talk to it, kind of have it, like I said, have a partnership with it. That's all you can do.